Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Saurabh Agarwal. I am live from Toronto. This is 111th CMAAO's weekly session. It is Saturday, 9:30 a.m. in Delhi and 12 midnight in North America. While we were offline, we were discussing about a new virus which is spreading in North America, which is monkeypox, which I think Dr. Monica will give a very short and brief update because this is something which is there in the last 24 hours. And also we will discuss about what's going around in the world, what's happening, how the viruses are spreading, what's happening, because I think we have done some extensive travel ourselves to realize that a lot of COVID cases are happening where you will not have any other symptoms but just a cough and cold. A lot of people in West, a lot of people in Bay Area, they're having these symptoms. So uh, I would invite Dr. Monica to start the session with this. So Dr. Monica, we were discussing about monkeypox. You were giving a brief update on what's going on.
Hi, Saurabh. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this is a rapidly developing health issue that is getting traction, especially in Canada. And there was one case that was diagnosed, I believe, in Massachusetts from a man who had been traveled to Canada. But monkeypox is a zoonotic viral disease, primarily found in the from West to Central Africa, and it presents with flu-like viral symptoms and a palmar rash. And what they're noticing now are several cases that have been found in Quebec, in Canada, as well as in British Columbia. This virus was first identified in monkeys. It's typically spreads through close contact, and has in the past rarely spread outside of Africa. So the cases that are now seen in other countries, such as Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and Australia, is definitely alarming. It usually causes a mild viral illness, and it has a very distinctive bumpy rash. I think that the information regarding the spread of this virus is still evolving. What you're going to find in the news feeds, from routers, from Medscape, all these places where you can find updates, you'll see that most of the information related to monkeypox is still coming in within several hours, as of right now. So in terms of what the CDC has reported, they're saying that it was first discovered in 1958 when two outbreaks of a pox-like disease occurred in colonies of monkeys that were kept for research. That's why it was called monkeypox. The first human case of monkeypox was recorded in 1970 in the Democratic Republic of Congo during a period of intensified effort to eliminate smallpox. Since then, monkeypox has been reported in humans in other Central and Western African countries. So now, as of May of 2022, the CDC, collaborating with the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, was investigating a situation regarding that man that I was telling you, which was a US resident who tested positive for monkeypox on May 18th. So that was 2 days ago, in our time zone here, after returning to the US from Canada. They're also tracking multiple clusters of monkeypox in early to mid-May in several countries that don't normally report monkeypox, which were the countries that I had listed earlier. It's not clear how those clusters were exposed to monkeypox, but cases include people who self-identify as men who have sex with men. And their CDC is urging healthcare providers in the US to be alert for patients who have rash illnesses that are consistent with monkeypox. Now, this is not a sexually transmitted disease. It's transmitted through close contact. So there are other information that's listed under the CDC website, and that is rapidly evolving. So we don't know a lot, except to kind of mention that this is something that is present, something that we should be on high alert for. Now we are seeing several viral related diseases that are emerging. We obviously are still within our pandemic, but we also have been talking about these cases of hepatitis in children, and that can be even fulminant. And now we're seeing the new monkeypox cases.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. Anyone else has to give any update? Like, are they aware of this kind of a virus?
Dr. Monica, just actually, US actually reported in the last year also similar cases, but number was very less, which I'm seeing in the CDC website. So, but they were telling it's very contagious, but why it was not so contagious, and why you have not seen so much spreading of that disease? Can you just explain? Got my point? Monica, can you hear me? Hello?
I can. Sorry, I don't have as much background knowledge about this particular virus because it's not been an issue for a while. So in terms of the spread, so the monkeypox virus is spread through respiratory droplets, and they can't travel more than a few feet. So it does require prolonged face-to-face contact for transmission. There can be also transmission through direct contact with bodily fluids, lesion material, such as through contaminated clothing and linens. So it is through droplet transmission. But I don't know more than what you can find right now. In terms of the CDC website, in terms of information regarding transmission, animal to human transmission may occur by bite or scratch, bushmeat or preparation, direct contact with body fluids, lesion material, or indirect contact with lesion material, such as through contaminated bedding. Respiratory droplets cannot travel more than a few feet, so prolonged face-to-face contact is required, which is what I said earlier. The reservoir host is still unknown, although African rodents are suspected to play a part in transmission. The virus that causes monkeypox has only been recovered twice from an animal in nature. In the first instance, it was 1985. The virus was recovered from an apparently ill African rodent, rope squirrel, in the Equator region of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And in the second, which was in 2012, the virus was recovered from a dead infant mangabe found in the Thai National Park in the Ivory Coast.
That's just another thing. Actually, in our countries, actually, we took smallpox vaccine. Which CDC have seen that they are also just suggesting the smallpox vaccines also the mean to just contain it. So, do you think that this subcontinent should be immune from this small or this monkeypox?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I think the audio went in and out.
Sorry. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, do you think that because we are in subcontinents, mostly we are already got smallpox vaccine in our childhood. So whether these people actually residing in mostly in Asia, I don't know what are the other countries that took the vaccine. So will this vaccine will protect this from monkeypox? Because in US, okay.
That's a really interesting question. So we know that the monkeypox is related to the smallpox virus, and immunity to smallpox is protective against monkeypox. But in 1980, smallpox was eradicated in all humans, and vaccinations against smallpox also is grown rare. I never got the smallpox vaccination. So therefore, human cases of monkeypox have been on the rise. even though it is still rare. So so as you lose, I guess, the herd immunity to the smallpox, whether it be through vaccination or infection, mostly vaccination, you are now becoming susceptible to monkeypox. Yes, that's a great point. So let's talk about how it presents, just so that we kind of review how to recognize it. So infection with the monkeypox virus starts like a flu-like illness. You have fever, headache, muscle aches, swollen lymph nodes, and a rash. And I think what's kind of characteristic about this illness compared to every other viral illness that gives you flu-like symptoms, including COVID, is this rash. The monkeypox rash looks a lot like red dots on the mouth and face. Then it spreads to the arm and legs. Over the next 4 to 5 days, the spots turn into fluid-filled blisters that are often tender to the touch. They become donut-shaped and begin to crust over at the 2-week mark.
What about the mortality? Mortality?
Mortality? I'm not sure
Yeah.
about that. I just wanted to say one more thing about the virus. The R0 factor, we had talked a lot about that with COVID, right? We had talked about comparing R0 of various variants of COVID compared to the flu, but the R0 factor for the monkeypox is around 1 or 2, so not very transmissible. So it's not as transmissible or like measles or COVID. In terms of the mechanism of action regarding these blister-filled rash, I'm not sure about that. That would be something I'd have to look up and see. It'll be a function of the viral properties.
And Dr. Monica, is it a self-remitting within 10 to 15 days?
So it does look like that most cases are mild, and that it would be remitting. I'm suspecting that secondary infections of these blisters might cause more of the morbidity associated with this illness. But again, I don't know as much about this virus. And I'm actually, as we're talking about it, I'm actually realizing where we are now in terms of the situation.
Britain is offering smallpox shots as monkey cases are spreading in Europe as well. Sorry, Dr. Sajad, you're saying something?
I missed a few comments from Monica, but I would like to know whether how this monkey pox spreads, I mean transmitted. What I heard that it is transmitted through the secretions. Is it true? Monica can explain how it's spread from man to man, and is this the same the vaccine used for smallpox? The vaccine is used for monkey. I just read somewhere that the same vaccine is used for monkey pox as we use for smallpox. Is it true, Monica? Please.
So the first question you asked was about how the transmission occurs. So the transmission occurs through droplets, through a few feet. And these are large respiratory droplets, not the finer aerosolized ones. There also, other mode of transmission is through fomites, through bodily fluids or lesions. So you can also have direct contact where you're touching a lesion, or it can be indirect with lesional material through contaminated clothing or bedding that are known as fomites. In terms of the smallpox, what they're saying is that those who received smallpox vaccination, it provided immunity to monkeypox, and smallpox vaccination stopped in 1980. And since that time, we're starting to see a rise in monkeypox. They're saying, according to the CDC, there's no proven treatment for monkeypox specifically, but the smallpox vaccine, antivirals, and vaccinia immune globulin can be used. The smallpox vaccine, it's JYNNEOS. I don't know how to pronounce that. Also known as a Imvamune or Imvanex, is indicated for monkeypox as well. This is a live virus attenuated, incapable of replicating in the human body. The US government has other smallpox viruses or virus vaccines that can be used. So there is some thought, though, that there will be some residual herd immunity from people who had received the immunizations before it had stopped being used.
Monica, do you think that this virus can be spread like coronavirus? It's from the object of the individual. We share the mobile, or we share handkerchief, or as we say that in coronavirus, don't share the object or the anything each other. Is it the same spread from in this monkeypox?
Yes, so a fomite is a fomite, right? So it could be anything. So if you're having large droplets that fall on objects, I would think so. But I think the same mode of precaution that we're using in the pandemic, that if we're the social distancing, use of hand sanitizers, sterilizing surfaces, I think the things that we're doing for COVID will hopefully spill over into preventing acquisition of the monkeypox.
Monkeypox. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Monica.
This is a new topic and it's rapidly evolving, and I'm very grateful for you asking the question and bringing this to our attention. I think it definitely merits more of a kind of a granular, deeper kind of summary. So that's something that we can look forward to maybe in the future weeks. But I think as of today, we're just kind of looking at new information together.
Okay. So there is a new threat for the world, monkeypox. We have to be prepared for that.
Yes. Actually, on that note, which is kind of an interesting thing that you just said, if I can just share my screen, let me see. Yeah. Sarah, would you be able to allow me to share my screen?
Sure.
Okay. So we were talking about kind of now emerging threats, and that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because I feel that we have started to drop our guard in this pandemic, and this pandemic is not over yet. So where are we in the US right now? We've crossed over 1 million deaths. We've seen 81 million people recovered with almost 85 million cases. If you're looking at the last 7 days in the United States, and you're looking at what is the number of cases per 100,000 population, where the darker the blue, the more the case rate per population. You're seeing a cluster in the East Coast. You see a cluster in the Midwest. You're seeing a cluster in Florida. I think this is where you're seeing international travelers coming in. Chicago, New York, Florida is a great popular destination for Disney World in the spring. And and Hawaii, you can see that these are popular destinations, popular routes for international travel, and this is where you're seeing the higher level of spread. So the numbers are going up again now. I mean, we're in a situation where people have been vaccinated, immunized. We're still waiting for eligibility for additional boosters, and we're starting to see the emergence of new variants. This, by far, even though we talked about monkeypox, is still the most contagious virus on the planet. And the reason I write this is because my 16-year-old son just said that to me today, and it was in reference to the number of cases that were appearing in his school and in other places that he goes to, about how many cases he's hearing about. So what do we know here? We know that there was an increase in Omicron BA.1 transmission, which is a threefold greater than Delta. Excuse me. BA.2 is 30% more transmissible than BA.1. And now we're seeing BA.2.12.1, which is 25% more transmissible than BA.2. We all remember the threat of Delta. We all remember the incredible speed at which Delta had spread. And from Delta, we have BA.1, which is more transmissible, BA.2 even more so, and now we have BA.2.12.1. So what are we seeing in the United States? Until last week, we are seeing now that BA.1.1 is almost left, and we now have replaced it with BA.2.1.12.1, which is now emerging dominant and is taking over BA.2. So these emergents continue to appear, and we're continuing to see an increase in number of cases. So we're not out of this pandemic yet. And the proposed approaches in terms of where we are in the pandemic is that we cannot let our guard down. I think what the thought is that we have developed COVID fatigue. It is okay to get infected, and that we are not going to go back to mask mandates. We're not going to go back to lockdowns. We're not going to adopt those very significant extreme measures to reduce infections. So how do we still concurrently start these approaches to make sure that we can move in a positive direction through this pandemic? It feels very discouraging to see the numbers go up again and to see people who've been vaccinated getting infected. So what we should see and what we should look for is nasal vaccines. And why do we want nasal vaccines? So let's look at our experience with flu mist versus the traditional injectable influenza vaccines in the United States and Canada. We used to use flu mist as a way to induce mucosal immunity, which is the exact way that you would acquire the infection. So you are educating the immune system in the same mechanism by which you would acquire the infection. When we get COVID, we're not getting a shot of COVID, but that's how we're doing the immunization process. With COVID, we get the infection through nasal acquisition. So does it not make sense to use a nasal vaccine? Let's produce IgA immunity, mucosal immunity to the viruses. So that's one thing that needs to be developed. The second is to look at variant-proof vaccines. And I know that we've been talking about that, a pan vaccine from over a year ago. Like, why can't we have a vaccine that kind of will encompass all different variants? And currently in the United States, we have seen the rise and demise of multiple different monoclonal antibody therapies that were found to be more effective from one variant to another. There's been a big push for Paxlovid, which is a combination antiviral medication that is used for mild to moderate, non-hospitalized patients who have comorbid risk factors. The uptake or the use or the trust in those drugs has not been as widely used, but I think with more education, more experience with it, we will be seeing more people on these medications. So these are different ways that we have to continuously work on this multi-pronged approach to address the pandemic that we are in at this time. So I just brought that up today, just as a kind of a little mini reminder that, we're still in this pandemic. Most of us have gotten infected or will get infected, whether it be asymptomatic, the infections will be mild, but we are not seeing an end yet. We are still seeing cases, we're still seeing morbidity, and we're still seeing mortality as a result of these infections. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, for two major updates. I think very short notice I've given, and I think thank you so much. Yeah, so let's move on. And anybody else has a question right now before we can move forward?
Dr. Monica, do you have any updated information about North Korea's infection? Because they are not vaccinated actually. They didn't receive vaccines. So more cases are there. Any information from them? Not Korea. Because you are talking about the cases, actually a lot of cases are going on in the US. Actually, in last month, actually, I traveled to Paris and to attend the council meeting of VMA. Here, there also that those days actually I have seen more than 100,000 cases per day. But the people were not observing this protocol, COVID protocol. And even in five-star hotels also, the receptionists were not following that. So I just asked them, they're telling nobody's going to hospital. So why to think about that? So I told them that, today you have more than 1,600 cases in the hospital and you're not just afraid of that. So they're telling that there's the old people and probably not vaccinated people are there in the hospital. So there is the thing, actually, this is worrying. And in India, actually, I have seen the last week, more than 3,000 cases in India per day. And in Bangladesh, it's very less, actually, that's 30 to 50 cases per day. But we are not also observing this protocol now. But the cases are not increasing much. This is what I am seeing here. And there are no deaths in the last month. In the last month, no deaths from COVID. So this is very interesting, actually. Bangladesh is highly vaccinated, actually. More than 80% vaccinations are already carried out in Bangladesh. So this is the scenario here. So what is the inference actually? Why it is increasing actually? I think the COVID protocols are not maintained. Even if it is even if it is said or seen that is mild, okay, but protocols are not maintained, so it's spreading. Do you think that in the US also it's the same case?
Yeah, so we've moved away from doing an entire population approach to now making it more personal, regional. So if you feel that so this is the instruction I got when I got on the plane to come from Toronto when I flew to Chicago. You are now in under US jurisdiction. There is no mask mandate. So in Toronto, there was a full mask mandate in the airport. You get on the airplane. I flew an American carrier. And they said that now you do not need to wear a mask, but it is your personal decision to wear or not wear a mask. And please respect the decision of the person and the passenger next to you. And I think that's a great analogy of how the whole approach is, whether it be by country, whether it be by individual, whether it be by a region. And that is that we are all making our own personal decisions regarding how we are approaching risk mitigation for acquiring COVID based on our personal experience. Are we vaccinated? Are we at high risk? When was our last vaccination? And what is the activity that we plan to do? So cases are going up. All I'm saying is that we should not put down our guard. We should always have it in the back of our mind that we need to be careful. We continue to need to weigh the risks and benefits of every activity that we do. It's okay if the person in front of me is not wearing a mask, but if I don't feel safe, I can walk 2 steps backward, I can maintain my distance, and I can wear my mask. But just because I don't want to wear a mask, I can't enforce that somebody else should wear a mask, right? So I think that that we're in a different place now. We've been in this pandemic for 2.5 years. We are very, very tired. It's very hard to enforce these things. It is not feasible from an economic perspective, going to work, doing things, but I think everybody should still take the full responsibility of how to make, as Dr. Angelica is saying right now, to make the best choice for yourself and the people around you. And that we need to put the onus on ourselves and take care of ourselves.
Thank you. Just a actual question, actually. You know, the questions are arising now. If we use the mask for the whole time outside, then there is a possibility that you are getting your volume, pulmonary volume is getting reduced, and you may be having polycythemia. So these things are coming up now, and so they are advising that you should not use mask all the time, rather the interruptions.
You have 24 hours in a day. Do you wear a mask when you sleep?
No, outside. If you're staying.
I'm just saying, but if you're 24 hours in a day and you're not wearing a mask when you're sleeping and you're doing your personal activities, and you wear a mask when you're outside, you could also tailor the type of mask, whether it be cloth, whether it be surgical, whether it be KN95 or N95. I have worn an N95 for over a year in my clinical work. We all in healthcare are wearing it. I am not worried about polycythemia.
Have you checked your blood CBC?
Yep, my CBC has been checked and it's fine. I'm not worried.
It's okay, but one of my specialists actually in this, he was telling that he just checked his CBC and he was telling he is having polycythemia. Okay.
So you know, one person is okay, but I think that we need to be, let's use the word pragmatic. We have to be pragmatic in our approach, right? It is your individual decision and your risk stratification to wear a mask, not wear a mask. To wear a mask, protect yourself from COVID, or wear a mask and potentially develop polycythemia. Like it's not, I'm not worried about that. I'm just saying that we cannot enforce this overall, but we cannot let our guard down. We have to constantly make a conscious decision that we are not making a mask as opposed to saying, oh, we're done.
Thank you, Dr. Monica. This was excellent. And can we open the forum for an update from everyone? And also, I believe Dr. Chong cannot join in today, but I believe there is another issue which is going in Asian side where more than 10,000 cases have been registered for dengue. So yeah, so things are not getting over. I think there are problems which are happening around the world. This sessions we are updating everything. So let's start with the country update quickly, and we can wind up the session early. Can we start with South Africa?
Good morning, Saurabh and everybody. In South Africa, last 1 week, the cases varying between 4,000 to up to 10,000, and mortality is still very low in this variant. What we have seen, 96% recovery rate at the moment. Active cases is still between 25 to 30,000. And people, same thing outside, people are not wearing masks, only indoor people are practicing masks. Sanitizing also is almost gone. It's not seen in most of the shopping center areas. And children are now getting vaccinated above 12. And those are admitted in the hospital around the country, mostly unvaccinated people and senior citizens are getting infected and get a hospital admission. Vaccination is going on, but not very high speed. Is still a lot of projects launching for mass vaccination. And we haven't heard any cases about monkeypox in South Africa. Thanks.
Is there any dengue cases happening in South Africa?
No, we haven't heard any dengue cases in South Africa.
Okay. Anything to add, Dr. Angelica and Dr. Mazukwa?
If I can just add, I think we have lost the opportunity in South Africa, maybe in the rest of the world as well, with vaccine drives. We had the golden opportunity when it was when the vaccines were released. But people, as Monica also said, get fatigue, and they're not interested in it anymore. And I think the only time that we will get a vaccine increase or uptake would be if we have another variant similar to Delta. That would be a wake-up call again. But up until then, I don't think that's going to happen. And then I think all the numbers worldwide are underreported because of home testing and even rapid testings in South Africa at some of the pharmacies. They're not being notified to the NICD, so it's underreported. So there's a false sense of security going around. Again, unfortunately, at this stage of the game, after 2 to 3 years, it is now, I think it starts to be our responsibility. We need to make sure that we advise the people around us as well to make your smart, informed choice. Of course, it's up to you in the end of the day. What would be your own outcomes and those the closest to you? I think it is we need to try to educate people around this. And then maybe another better way to look at the incidence or the, what is the rate of infections is to start looking more at wastewater surveillance, to do more of that. And I think that would give also a better indication. And then again, hospitalization, but we can't go anymore on the numbers, the daily numbers, as I've said, because it's underreported. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Angelica. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, and good morning, Sarab.
Thank you.
And the colleagues. Yes, I think the focus now, honestly, because of what Angelica has said in terms of, the decreased uptake, the view is that the focus should be on the more elderly patients who are more than 50, 60 years and above, just to make sure that category is vaccinated, because we all know that they are at higher risk. And also with the studies and that have been conducted that show that mortality is very high at that age. So the focus is really to say those people, let them be vaccinated. But the other thing is, like Angelica was saying, in terms of the uptake, the numbers that are reported, we know that clinically people are refusing to do COVID test because of the implications. Monica earlier on was talking about the implications on the economy and stuff like that. I think people are no longer wanting to take the vaccine, the test, COVID test, because they know that if you are symptomatic, you still have to be isolated, and that has economic implications to the individual person. So those are the challenges that we face on the ground. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the update from South Africa. Can we have an update from Pakistan?
Okay, thank you very much, Saurabh, and good morning, good evening, good night to all of you, wherever you are. In Pakistan, the situation is very good. Even the cases, very few cases of coronavirus is detected. The percentage is, the positivity rate is 0.4, 0.3, 0.5 sometimes. Even the cases is here, but
Dr. Sajad, we've lost you. I don't think we can hear you. Your connection
Very
is...
few people are coming. Sorry. I have a weak, today I have, I think, some problem in my internet, weak internet.
We can hear you.
So,
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So, overall, we can say in Pakistan, the situation is very good. The COVID is, the cases of, number of cases is very low, and people are very busy in their routine works. Everything is going on. And whenever I go with my mask, I saw one or two people are wearing masks, and some people are asking why you are having mask. As there is no coronavirus in Pakistan, Dr. Saab don't wear mask. So people have this type of opinion. Nobody is even using mask, even in the congested escalator or in the lift also. So this is a situation, but even all this situation, the number of cases is not going on. This is all about. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dr. Martanda Pillai, can we have an update for India?
Yeah, thank you. Here, of course, the number definitely are coming down. Last week, it has been around 2,300, 2,800, that sort of a range. There is complete normalcy in life, industry, business, education, and all sectors. And in spite of relaxation, although the government policy is to follow appropriate, COVID-appropriate behavior, the people are not following it. In spite of that relaxation in masking or sanitation, the number definitely are not going up. In fact, it is coming down. And life is more or less normal, and it is not a priority as far as the government is concerned. So that's where we stand. And the immunization definitely is at a very, very slow pace. 198 crore people vaccines have been given. The booster dose, the social media, there is a lot of discussion and regarding its advantage, and also so much so people are hesitant to take the booster dose. And children, of course, on a low priority basis, in the immunization is going on. mRNA vaccine trials are going on, and hopefully mRNA vaccine may be introduced in India within a short period of time. And otherwise, everything is normal. Even masking, as has been already said, whenever you wear a mask, other people ask you why you are wearing a mask. That COVID is not there. Crowding, festivals and everything without any restriction are happening. Fortunately, number definitely has come down, and the recovery rate is 98.7%. That has been more or less maintained. Still, few deaths are happening. Even yesterday's statistics show that 10 persons have died because of COVID. So that is where we stand now. It is a low priority as far as government is concerned, and also in the minds of the people. Thank you.
Dr. Pillai here that, I had my booster shot in Canada for Pfizer. And people who are from from countries where the vaccines are not available and they're traveling, they can have a benefit of having a booster shot. I don't know about US, but at least in Canada, and they give you a certificate also. So, if there is a travel which is planned and they want to get a different booster shot, what is available in the country, they can plan that way as well. And I do not had any major symptoms after the vaccine. So I took my first booster shot last week. Can I have Dr. Jamal?
Saurabh,
yeah.
Just this is for my information. At Canada in the airport, they asked about the polio vaccine certificates or corona certificates? You have to show.
So there is a, so if you, when you arrive Canada, there is a Arrive Canada app. You have to upload the COVID vaccination certificates beforehand. And you also have to upload like all your documentations there beforehand. But the polio certificate has not been asked for.
Okay.
Yes, but definitely whether it is Canada or US or any other country, I think vaccination certificates are being pre-uploaded in the web check-in.
Not in all the countries. Paris doesn't need.
Wherever it's required, yeah.
France doesn't require. You have to show it in the airport only at the point of entry.
Yeah, so you have an option to show at the airport if you are not able to pre-upload it.
Yeah. But in Thailand, they need it because I'm going to Thailand, so they need the Thailand pass. So you have to just upload the certificate, vaccination certificate.
Yeah, and US does need a COVID testing, but Canada does not need a COVID testing.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Okay. Dr. Chaudhary, can you update on Bangladesh?
Thank you, sir. Actually, in Bangladesh, almost everything is going normal. We have only 30 to 40 cases. Yesterday, it was 50, and the positivity rate is less than 1%. So the thing is that somebody was just mentioning, actually, the people probably they are not going for testing also because they are thinking that Omicron is not so serious. So they're waiting and we don't know actually. Those people having the cold and the small symptoms, they are having this virus. Because I'm afraid I don't know why if it is contagious, why the numbers are not exponentially increasing. That is the question to me. Probably people are not going for the testing mostly, but the cases are not high. We can say that the vaccination rate is quite good, very satisfactory. And recently we got a very good certificate from the Japan research that the Bangladesh is doing very well in regard to the management of COVID. And we are probably they have just given us the place of 5th position in the management and the first in the South Asia. So this is very good. Of course, we can see also that we are very satisfied with the government's position and their work, definitely. And number of death cases, this is very zero for the last 1 month, almost 1 month. And no other restrictions, but officially still there is a restriction in the offices that you have to put on a mask, but everybody is not following. And it is not strictly maintained also as before. So this is the situation here. And regarding travel, actually you have to put on masks even in the domestic flights, and not to talk about the international flights. International flights are always urging them to put on masks. Thank you so much. And dengue, regarding dengue, actually we have some dengue cases are there. It was increasing, but now it is not. It is stationary, probably you can say. And there is a vigorous containment measures going on here, eradicating the mosquitoes and others. So the government is doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chaudhary. Can I have Dr. Alvin Chang from Hong Kong?
Okay. So in Hong Kong, the situation of COVID-19 is a bit stable. For the past 1 week, we have about 250 cases confirmed positive every day, and about 40 cases were imported. And of course, there's still the risk of importing some other mutant strains other than the Omicron BA to luckily, we don't really have significant numbers of, say, BA4 or 5 or BA 2129, something that's new to Hong Kong and could potentially kick off another wave, the 6th wave in Hong Kong. So because of the stable situation, the government had relaxed the rules, the social distancing, and then the border are more open now. But still, I think we need to be very cautious because there are still 200 cases, 250 cases a day. And with the relaxed rules, people are dining and going to all those banquets, etc. There's still a risk of going into the 6th wave again if there are imported mutated strains that's not really protected by the vaccines. Now, our vaccination rate had gone up to over 92% for the first dose and about almost 80% for the second dose. And yet only about 50 to 60% for the third dose. And our experience is that for the Omicron, in fact, vaccination for the third dose is really necessary for both BioNTech and also for the CoronaVac produced by Sinovac in China. So, and of course, the antibody level produced by the Sinovac vaccine is less than that of the produced by the BioNTech. But then, well, according to the studies, the cellular immunity generated by the Sinovac vaccine is equal or better than that produced by the BioNTech. And of course, that means it's still useful for preventing hospitalized cases and also preventing death. And however, for those who like to go to Japan, we got the news that the Japanese government would not allow, visitors vaccinated with Sinovac to enter Japan. Well, so only those, more than half of the citizens in Hong Kong had been vaccinated with BioNTech. And so those could travel to Japan for the vacation. Well, anyway, don't know whether our Japanese colleagues are here. Well, just I heard that the Hong Kong government is going to negotiate and hope to lobby the government of the Japanese government to reconsider this. Well, anyway, so the situation in Hong Kong is quite good now. Only one or few cases of death now attributable by COVID-19. And usually these are unvaccinated elderly with multiple premorbid conditions. And on the other hand, our government had the administrative measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and also to encourage COVID-19 vaccination. Although we don't have a mandatory vaccination, but then these administrative measures like vaccine passports, that is, you have to have 2 doses of vaccination before you could enter any entertainment premises, restaurants, even sports centers or gyms, and even churches or temples. So these are, of course, important measures that make the citizens, 90% of our citizens now had the first dose and almost, more than 75% having the second dose. But then at the end of June, I think they would require the vaccine passports to have 3 doses, the booster dose, in order that the citizens could go into all the premises that I mentioned just now. But anyway, we are still keeping the fingers crossed because we still could not have the border open with the mainland China. And that is still a big barrier to our recovery of our economy because most of our economic transactions also have the deals with the mainland China. And also the traffic with other places has still been very, very limited, even though the border is open now, because the Cathay Pacific, our airline in the past, had, dismissed a lot of their staff. And in fact, many air crew members and pilots had left our airline for other places because our stringent measures in Hong Kong. And so it needs to take time to recruit those aircrew members and pilots. So that's our situation in Hong Kong. Thank you very much. Oh, we don't have dengue fever. In fact, dengue fever is very, very prevalent as an endemic disease in the tropical Southeast Asian countries. Hong Kong lie in the subtropical area. And so we don't have endemic dengue fever, of course. But then with the importing cases from Southeast Asia, we need to have stringent mosquito control and environmental control in order to bar out these dengue fevers in the future. So we like to try our best. And anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Elvin. That was a nice update, and after a very long time. So I don't know if
Sorry, I
could
not attend sometime.
So, can I just ask Elvin, what is the situation prevailing in China? Mainland China.
Dr. Elvin is asking if you have any update for China.
I'm sorry. I have the updates from the news, just like you have. I think in China, for Shanghai, from the news, we know that the situation is improving, abating. The number of cases per day had dropped to only about 1,000 compared to about more than 25,000 a day last month. So in Beijing, they are also controlling the eruption of their confirmed cases in the new wave. It seemed that they have the effective lockdown for their cities. So, but of course, it's sacrificing the economy, and many people really have to tolerate the suffering from lockdown. But then it seems that the pandemic wave in Shanghai had been controlled, and in other areas seems that a very minimal outbreak. Yeah, that's what I know from mainland China. Thank you. But still, they are keeping the zero tolerance, dynamic zero tolerance approach. All right. So that's the case. Thank you.
Okay, so that completes all the associations over here present to give an update. I don't think there is anyone else remaining. I don't think we have anyone from Japan or from Korea here.
So can I ask Angelique and also other colleagues in South Africa, are there cases of monkey pox in your country or only limited to Eastern or Western or Central Africa? And I heard that it's spreading to USA and Europe as well.
Thank you, Alvin. As far as I know,
Thank you.
there's no cases in South Africa being recorded, and we have never seen any monkeypox in our country, not that I'm aware of. I was asked yesterday to present data on monkeypox to 3 different media houses, and
Oh.
I also did a lot of research on it. No, there is none in South Africa. Maybe we missed it, but I don't think this is something that you can miss with these skin lesions. You can still miss the fever and the other symptoms, but the skin lesion would be very difficult to miss. So no, not that we are aware of. Thanks.
Thank you.
I also, I think Dr. Alvin, you joined a little late, or Dr. Monica has given a brief update on this monkeypox. You can go back in the video and have a look. I will send the video link also on the group chat.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so with this note, I would like a permission to end this meeting for this week. We will meet again for the next week. If we have any other questions, you can quickly ask. Otherwise, we would like to end this meeting. So with this note, thank you so much. This is the end of 111th weekly session. Thanks to Dr. Monica for quickly arranging the data for this meeting. It was a very, very short notice for her. And thank you so much for an update. It was much needed update for the country. With this note, I would like to end this session. Thank you everyone for joining in. See you again next week, same time, same day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. And Monica, go to bed. Go to sleep.